And I can't believe that Lehigh Valley Democrats, Northeast Democrats, Democrats throughout this Commonwealth continue to vote to send more and more money to SEPTA and more or less taking dollars from their constituents, the people that vote for them.
Their roads, they're taking away
and taking
from.
away from their roads, taking away from their bridges. We saw the governor do it with $150 million last year in federal highway funds. And I can't believe that they would vote to do that. We're going to file some amendments to that legislation, but it's just another bad idea coming out of the House Democratic Caucus.
This is Talking with Doyle with State Representative Doyle Heffley. As always, we're joined by the indomitable Hunter Kipe and the disembodied voice of producer Chuck. Our main man, Brian McCarty, on the ones and twos. Doyle, what are we talking about this week?
Well, we are talking about a lot of news and a lot of firsts, right? We got a new studio. We got a new sign behind us. It's a little bit bigger, but we're going to work on that. So we're excited to be back. It's been about a week or two since we did our last podcast. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot of new stuff, a new look for myself, and a new sign. We're excited. We just got to bring back the microphones and we'll be in good shape. Awesome.
That's true. So what are we talking about today?
Well, as new as the studio is, as new as the ideas we have are, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the House Democrats and some of just the old regurgitated bad ideas that they continue to put forth. Very unpopular with the citizens of Pennsylvania, as we saw in the last election cycle. In this week, we're here running up to the budget, and the governor's pitching his proposal to increase energy taxes. And we've talked about that on many podcasts. What a terrible idea. We see families struggling, and this guy wants to tax energy, tax your electric bill. And aside from that, the governor and his policies are really forcing offline some of our coal generating facilities that provide the base load to the grid. And what they're saying, right, PJM, which manages the grid and grid stability, is saying that over the next 5 to 10 years, if not less, we could see a double in the need for electricity, while at the same time we're cutting back. So we need reliable energy for that base load in the grid. We have a lot of companies that are looking at coming into Pennsylvania. We obviously have some bit farming going on in Carbon County, but we have companies that are looking to come in with these new high-tech jobs, AI, and we would make sure we have the energy. And the governor and his House friends in the House Democrat caucus are kind of thwarting that. So it's a little frustrating, but that's not the only bad idea we got this week. That's just the lead-in to some of the other terrible ideas. Looking at a bill that deals with hospital mergers, right? In Carbon County, we had a great health network, Blue Mountain Health System. They did a great job for many years, as the healthcare has transformed and changed, they merged with St. Luke's, and we've seen we had the Lehigh Valley Hospital Network. We have Geisinger has a footprint in Carbon County and St. Luke's, and with those hospital mergers, we've seen the fact that right now in Carbon County we have better access to healthcare than ever before.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
you're
a lifelong resident of the county.
Yeah, no, because either you would go across the county lines, whether that was Schuylkill County or all the way down to like Lehigh County, but now it's only a few miles down the road now. It's great. It's a great opportunity for older people, but also young people with children.
You say older people and you look at me, but well, I am aging gracefully. But no, it's wonderful. I've had to have some tests done. I had some minor surgery last year, and I was able to have it right in Carbon County. Come in the morning and go home that afternoon. And when whether you're going in for routine tests, and I would encourage everybody, get your routine tests. Make sure you're healthy. But we can do it right there instead of driving. It was a whole day. You have to take a half a day off from work, if not a whole day, to drive to Lehigh Valley or drive to Philadelphia or somewhere else. And now we have a level 4 trauma center at St. Luke's. We have Lehigh Valley has state-of-the-art facilities at their campus, and then the St. Luke's has a campus up in Coaldale, and Geisinger has a footprint in northern Carbon County. So the the urgent cares, 24 hours, 7 days a week, access to healthcare, which we never had before. And a lot of that came about because of mergers in the healthcare networks,
Yeah.
right? So people don't always like mergers, and sometimes it's had, I've seen good mergers and bad mergers, but I got to say right now, for healthcare, those mergers have been tremendous. I know a lot of senior citizens in Carbon County that probably wouldn't drive to Allentown for their routine cancer treatments or their other treatments, but they're going to do that because they can do that in 5 minutes, 10 minutes from the house.
Yeah.
So this bill that the Democrats are proposing, it aims to go after the private health, the private equity firms that are buying hospitals in certain parts of the state. That's a whole nother level, and there are some issues there, and it can be addressed. But this bill goes way too far and gives the Attorney General enormous power to investigate these mergers and actually stop the mergers. Instead of letting the healthcare networks, go about their business, healthcare is the #1 regulated industry in the country, right? There's more regulations in healthcare, more oversight than any other industry, but now they want to add an extra layer. And then at the same time, they're going to give the Attorney General the authority to then charge the hospitals for their investigations. So why wouldn't they want to investigate? Now, right now we have a great Attorney General, but who's to say in 4 or 6 or 8 years? I mean, we came off of Shapiro, who was investigating everybody.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when our governor was the Attorney General, didn't he do similar things?
So as he left, and last year in the budget, they put in some language, slipped it into one of the code bills to allow the Office of Consumer Advocate in the Attorney General's office to pretty much go after, harass, law-abiding companies in Pennsylvania that were doing business here, employing people here, and go after them, and then never filed charges. Because this is the point. They never filed charges that there was any illegal activity, but yet they forced them, a lot of companies, into these settlements, and then back charged them for the billings. They were using it as a profit-generating mechanism for the employees at the OAG's office, and I'm hopeful that our new Attorney General, Dave Sunday, is not going to tolerate that. But those are some of the practices, and that's why I'm very skeptical of many people,
Sure.
and we should be, because when you have an emergency, you want to make sure that you're going to get the best health care nearest to you. And it's important because sometimes minutes or seconds matter, and that is so critical. And I really want to commend our networks, competing networks in Carbon County, for all that they do. And we don't need Josh Shapiro and big government prohibiting that. I mean, look what they've done. They took away, we stopped the venue shopping, and now we're going to see massive increases in insurance rates for doctors and hospitals. There's a lot of maternity wards across this state that are shutting down, not because of mergers, but because of terrible policies coming out of the governor's office and our Supreme Court with these, venue shopping and the lawsuits, and the payouts are incredible. So we don't need them interfering with it. It's a bad bill. I'll be voting no on it. I think there are some reforms that are needed with some of these private equity firms, but going after the industry, HAP is opposed to it, the doctors are opposed to it. It's just a bad concept. And it's just another bad idea. So they're going to jack up your energy rates, they're going to make it harder for you to get the health care that you need.
So what else do they have going on that's bad?
Well, it keeps getting better because last year, we spoke about on the other podcast how the governor essentially transferred $150 million in federal highway funds that were earmarked for roads and bridge construction in the state of Pennsylvania, and diverted that to SEPTA.
Yeah.
Not to mass transit, but just to SEPTA, to once again prop up SEPTA.
And that is predominantly, or is that only in Philadelphia?
It's the Southeast. It's the Southeast Southeast Transit Agency. And look, we need mass transit in Philadelphia and in Allegheny, and we need public transportation throughout the Commonwealth. But now they want to take $125 million out of the general fund. So it's $125 million that is collected in sales tax and divert it to SEPTA and Allegheny Transit. And, we have roads and bridges in Carbon County that need to be repaired. We have mass transit in Carbon County that could use those extra dollars. Back in under the Rendell years, one of the reasons why I ran for office and was passionate about these issues was they enacted Act 44, which said that the Pennsylvania Turnpike was going to make payments to SEPTA. Now, to the tune of almost $8 billion in debt from bonding, the Pennsylvania Turnpike is now paying down that debt. So we have seen massive increases in toll fares on the Pennsylvania Turnpike from Pittsburgh to the southeast and all across the northeast extension to pay down that bonding because of the money that the Turnpike had to give to SEPTA. So we've had massive increases in tolls, but at the same time, since 2017, there hasn't been a fare increase at the fare boxes for the folks that ride mass transit. So while it's okay for the Democrats to push, and I can't believe that Lehigh Valley Democrats, Northeast Democrats, Democrats throughout this Commonwealth continue to vote to send more and more money to SEPTA and more or less taking dollars from their constituents, the people that vote for
Their
them.
roads, they're taking away
and taking
from.
away from their roads, taking away from their bridges. We saw the governor do it with $150 million last year in federal highway funds. And I can't believe that they would vote to do that. We're going to file some amendments to that legislation, but it's just another bad idea coming out of the House Democratic Caucus.
And all of these bills, you're going to talk about them this week on the floor.
Yeah, they're going to be running on the floor this week, and it's June, it's budget time. These are the governor's initiatives, and the governor wants to raise your energy taxes. He wants to send more money to mass transit in Philadelphia and take those dollars away from the other parts of this Commonwealth, and that's exactly what this bill does. And at the same time, I have several proposals for property tax relief, which is a huge issue in Carbon County, and they're not getting any traction. So it really is frustrating, and it's what we battle with here. And I'm going to continue to stand up for the folks that I represent, but not only that, but all the folks across Pennsylvania that are going to be hurt by these terrible policies.
But there is one positive bill. Don't you have a piece of legislation that seems to be positive?
Actually, there was a couple of bills that we worked on. As you know, I chair the Human Service Committee in the State House. We worked very well with our majority chairman, Dan Williams of Chester County, on some legislation that deals with SNAP benefits, right, and the EBT cards. What we're seeing right now across the Commonwealth is a lot of theft from the EBT cards. So people are going in and they're using those cards, and people are putting scamming devices on it, and they're stealing that. Sometimes the money is being deposited into their accounts, and the next day it's being stolen. So that's fraud, and this is crime. So the EBT cards have not been upgraded. As you know, like you can look at a credit card now, they have what's called a chip reader on it, that little square box on it. So they don't have that on that. So DHS.
Just a regular swipe.
Yeah, so I have to swipe it. You can't use a chip. So the Department of Human Services could be doing this. They could be looking at, and other states are enacting, how do we implement the chip card? But they're not. So we work together in a bipartisan fashion. It's going to pass the House unanimously. Or I think there were 3 no votes. And it will go to the governor's desk or go to the Senate, basically requiring DHS to come up with a plan how to effectively, efficiently implement the chip onto all the EBT cards. These are SNAP benefits are federal; they're approved by the federal government, and we're one of the highest states for fraud and waste in the SNAP benefits. So while the Democrats want to talk about, oh, the federal government's going to take away this or that, the governor's administration is allowing these benefits to be paid out to people that aren't entitled to them. And then the people that are entitled to them, you have a single mom maybe with 2 or 3 children, goes to buy groceries and finds out that their card, the money has been gone off the card. So that's what we're trying to prevent, and that's what we're working on in a bipartisan manner to do that. No. So that was a good bill, and we worked on it. So thank you for pointing that out.
Of course, absolutely. What else?
So we're also today we worked on some legislation that came out of the committee dealing with the 4 walls and dealing with telehealth. There were a lot of emergency waivers that were enacted during COVID to allow for expansion of telehealth services. We talked a lot about access to health care that we have in Carbon County, but there are parts of this Commonwealth where access to maybe psychiatric or behavioral health services or other services are, maybe you have to drive an hour to get that.
Or more.
Yeah. So, we see telehealth as a way to use, computers and telecommunications to bring that service to the individual. So this would allow for those patients that want to have telehealth and the providers that want to provide it, so a way for Medicaid reimbursement for those services. And it worked out, something that we found during COVID was, there were ups and downs to COVID. Most of it was negative. However, the expansion of telehealth, I think, is a good thing because we need to continue to evolve so we can efficiently and effectively deliver these services to those that need them. And so there are some good things that we're working on, but it is frustrating to see some of these just same old tried and true tax and spend, block energy production, get the big government involved in private industry, and instead of working together, being adversarial. So we're going to do whatever we can to stop some of the bad ideas from happening out here in Harrisburg and work on some of the good legislation that we can.